Hello, I'm delighted to be speaking with you today from my home on Manitoulin Island in Huron. Thank you to everyone concerned for inviting me to be part of this presentation. In this photo, I'm standing in front of a piece of work in progress. This piece is a good example of how my work is grounded in the sense of touch and in the passage of time. I use reclaimed domestic textiles to make artworks that are larger than a human can reach. I spend a long time with each piece as I make the marks with repeated hand stitching. Time and touch are my main materials, and my subject is our vast inner world. Next, please. This is my piece that is in the 3D expression exhibition. The title is Not to Know, But to Go On. Words that seem very apt for this uncertain situation that we're now in as a globe. We just have to trust and continue. I started it on my 59th birthday when it occurred to me that I was going to turn 60 in a year, and that was a big deal. So I started to mark every day of my 59th year and continued until I turned 62. So there's 3 years of time documented in this piece. It whirled past. It was done daily, and it measures 13 inches by 220 feet. Next, please. To construct it, I worked into pieces of artist canvas that could be in my lap. They measured 13 inches by 22 inches. And then I eventually joined them together to make the long scroll you see here. I marked each day with an entire skein of cotton embroidery floss that I purchased at my local 5 and Dime. There are over 1,000 skeins of thread in here because it covers 3 years. Each year is 365 days. So there's $1,000. Yeah, I said that. In the photo was me standing there. You can see with my hand touching. That's the back of the piece, and you can tell from that which each day is because it's marked color. So on the front, which is the fabric side, the cloth, it's not so easy to tell which day passes by, but it is the color of marks each day. To choose the color of thread, I would close my eyes because we really don't know what each day brings, do we? And but the fabrics are from my life collection. I am a quilt maker. I had a lot of fabrics, and they're also from family clothing and my own clothing. The combinations of thread and cloth were unexpected, not planned, but I find that they're all. Next, please, because the next images are of my daily view on Manitoulin Island where I live. And you can see by looking at these images how it's reflected in the stitch journal with that horizon line out in front of me that changes color hourly. And the one in the center shows Wikwemicon Peninsula around when the sun is just setting. It hits that peninsula across from us and makes it glow. The photo on the right is my piece, Not to Know But to Go On, laid out on the grass like it is a pathway or a narrow rug. My father came from Finland when he was 5, and so this piece does reflect my Finnish heritage as well. Next, please. This piece is related to Not to Know But to Go On, but it is a new piece, newer. It uses the same technique though. It uses old and saved damask tablecloth scraps that I had, and also a variety of blue fabrics because I wanted it to resemble a cloud. The title is Cloud of Time, and it is not a journal, but it is an accumulation of days. There's 365 days, 365 skeins of thread, and my fabric that I stitch all this thread to is artist canvas. Again, I worked in my lap in smaller pieces and then joined them together to make the longer scroll. This one is only 88 feet long. Next, please. Okay, now I'm going to be showing you some that I work with the female shape. And this one is called Red Moon. It's made from a wool blanket that was in my husband's family for 100 years. It's very well used. You can see where the hands over time tugged at the edges to pull it up and tuck it in. And so it has been worn. So I did some mending on it and used just the top and bottom borders to make this long piece and display it this way because it has this beautiful shape, a 3D shape that came just from the fact that it is cloth and it is soft. Next, please. This one is entitled Moon Cloth. When it's displayed, it spins slightly, and you can see both the outside of the vessel and you can see the inside of the vessel. It's important to me that you can see both sides of my work because that's one thing I love about cloth art is that there are two sides to a piece of cloth. And just like there's two sides to a human person, there's the outside we present to the world and there's our much more beautiful and vulnerable inner world. This is dyed with indigo, heavily stitched, and it's about 53 inches high and 20 inches across. Next, please. The next one is entitled Red Catalone. There it is. And it's made from journal papers that have been cut into narrow strips and stitched to an old linen cloth. It was inspired by the traditional bed coverings made in French Canada, early French Canada, called catalones. And they were made by weaving narrow strips of used clothing into a thread base. This piece is made from the collected thoughts and dreams that I was having at the time, and so it's a blanket for the inner world. And it's a tablecloth that's been covered with paper and red thread, and it measures 48 inches by 60 inches. Next. Another ancient blanket that has been rescued, mended, dyed, stitched, cut, and then stitched some more. Both sides have been stitched in different ways. I worked to make it stronger, and I worked to make it also weaker by cutting into it. I always thought of it as a woman as I was touching it over and over again. And I like to exhibit it so that the inside is visible. I was sad when I began it, but I was changed by making it. And so the title is Flowers Started Blooming Inside Me. It's 67 inches high and 62 inches wide. Next, please. So this is my studio that I work in town. I have two studios, one at home and one that I have to drive 20 minutes to in Little Current. I'm showing you this one because this is how you can see how I have to work when I want to work large. I need to have a ladder and I need to have a big table, and I just wanted you to see how both sides of this piece will be shown when it is hanging free, like I'm hoping it will be when it is a sculptural piece. It's inspired by the rock cuts of Northern Ontario, and one side, as you can see, is French knots, and the other side is plant-dyed fabric that's been torn into strips and affixed to two old blankets sewn side by side, and with the French knots. I've been working on it for quite a while.